Ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. I said page number
77.
77, right? Okay, fine. Should we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now McClary, he was searched thoroughly, and what did Jackson find in his suitcase, in his briefcase? A knife was there, a jackknife or a paper knife was there that was taken away, and he finds a semi-inflated rubber tube. Okay, rubbering, such as a young child, while swimming, he could put on and swim. Okay, so he just tried to joke with him, and he says that was he thinking of going for a swim. Now this joke that he cracked, who McClary, he did not like it, and somewhat in a bitter manner he replied him that he is suffering from hemorrhoids, piles, and when he has to sit in the washroom for a long time he uses it. Okay, so Jackson, he feels very much sorry, embarrassed of having made such a bad joke, and that joke, it was not liked by McClary.
McLary.
Yes. Now it was 9:18 a.m. The exam, it was about to begin at what time?
9:15.
9:15. But now it was already 9:18, means they were quite late. Put the date, beta. Now it was 9:18 a.m. before the governor heard the voices again, and it was clear that the examination was going to be more than a little late in getting underway. Okay, getting means starting. So it was very clear that the exam, it might start a bit little late. Now the conversation, you have got a watch. Evan says, yes, McClary, I will be telling you when to start and again when you have 5 minutes left. All right. Then there was a silence. Then again McClary speaks. There is a plenty more of this writing paper should you need it. Okay. And he says that he asked Evans if he's having a watch. He says yes, he was having. And then McClary, he tells him that he would tell him when to start the exam and when to finish it up. He would tell him before 5 minutes when the exam would be finished. Okay. And then McClary, he also says that plenty of writing paper, means sheets are there. So if he requires, he can take more. Then again the silence was there. Now write the name of the paper 021-1. Underline it. Now he's instructing Evans in the top left hand corner 021-1. Then again the silence is there. In the top right hand corner, write your index number 313. Underline it. And in the box just below that, write your center number 271. Okay, again silence. McClary, I'm now going to, okay, and he says, yes, I'm now going to, and when he's not able to complete his sentence, before he completes, he's interrupted by Evans, and he says, he's not going to stay here, is he? Now, who is he? Yes, Stephens, as I'm sitting and you are just opposite to me, we both are sitting opposite to each other. You people are appearing in the exam, and somebody is standing there. Okay, it seemed that somebody is standing on the head. The candidate does not like it because it disturbs him. So even Evans, he doesn't like, and he says that he's not going to stay here, is he? He wants to confirm whether Mr. Stephens is going to stay here, okay, just near them. I don't know about that. McClary says, no, I don't have any idea whether he will be here or out. Mr. Jackson's given me strict instructions to now. Stephen, he says, I'm not standing on my own wish. Okay. Who had given me orders, instructions to stand here? Mr. Jackson. समझ में आ रहा है? इवेंट्स कहता है क्या ये यहीं खड़ा रहेगा क्या? तो स्टीफेंस कहता है मैं अपनी इच्छा से नहीं खड़ा हूँ, मुझे इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए हैं मिस्टर जैक्सन ने टू स्टैंड देयर. गॉट इट बेटा?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How am I supposed to concentrate on my exam with someone breathing down my neck? Cried, sorry sir, I didn't mean. Okay, थोड़ा सा rough हो जाता है वो. Okay, और कहता है how am I supposed to concentrate? How will I concentrate on my exam with somebody standing on my head, you know, breathing down my neck? And then he says, oh, I'm sorry, because कुछ ज़्यादा ही बोल दिया था उसने. The governor reached for the phone. Now see, all the talk, all the conversation, okay, it was heard by the governor, right? Because a microphone was attached to the governor's phone, to the speaker was attached to the governor's office. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना?
Yes,
जैसे
ma'am.
हमारी क्लासेस का स्पीकर अटैच होता है ना सर के रूम से. Sir could listen to your voices, isn't it? And even when
Yes, ma'am.
he announces something, you people can listen, right? So similar microphones attached ho gaye the. To governor, he was listening to all this conversation. So he just picked up the phone and he rang to Jackson and he instructs him, Jackson, good. Get Stephens out of that cell, will you? Okay. Ask Stephens to move out of the cell. I think we are perhaps overdoing things. समझ में आया? बहुत ज्यादा हम ओवरडू कर रहे हैं, हम बहुत ज्यादा ओवर रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं. ओके, बहुत ज्यादा प्रिकॉशंस एंड सिक्योरिटी इतनी ज्यादा ले रहे हैं that does not need to be taken. As you wish, Sir, Jackson replies. The governor heard the exchanges in the cell, heard the door clang once more, and heard McLary announce that the examination had begun at last. Okay, so the governor now he came to know some of the uh, voices he could hear, and he could listen to the opening and closing of the door, and McLary announcing the time, okay, to start the exam. Means the exam, uh, it began. It was 9:25 a.m., 10 minutes late, okay, and there was a great calm. Calm means bilkul quietness, peace was there. Listen to each and every line very carefully, children, okay. At 9:40 a.m., the examinations board rang through, and the assistant secretary with special responsibility for modern languages asked to speak to the governor. 9:40 pe, there was a call from assistant secretary, okay, from the board office, assistant secretary of board office. He rang and he wanted to speak to the governor. The examination had already started, no doubt, a quarter of an hour ago. Okay, quarter of an hour, 45 minutes ago, the exam, it had already started. Yes, well, there was a correction slip which some fool had forgotten to place in the examination package. Why? Why there was a call from assistant secretary? Because he informs that a correction slip was to be placed in the envelope in which the question paper was there. But by mistake, one of the employees of the board who might have been given the responsibility of placing the paper, he forgot to place it. Okay, very brief. Could the governor please? And then assistant secretary, he requests the governor if he can send that correction slip. Yes, of course, I'll put you straight through to Mr. Jackson and leaving. Hold the line a minute. Okay. Of course, governor says, I'm going to connect you to Mr. Jackson and leaving. Just hold the line. Was this the sort of thing the governor had feared? Now, again, a suspicion. It rises, okay? Some interruption. Did the governor, he feared that some interruption might take place when the exam begins? Was the phone call a fake? Some signal? Some secret message? So many doubts, it comes into the mind of governor. क्या कोई इंटरप्शन होना था? क्या ये फोन कॉल कोई फेक कॉल है, कोई सिग्नल है, कोई मैसेज है? But he could check on that immediately, and then he convinces himself, no need to worry, I can check it. And once again, I can just ring back to the board examination, and from there I could confirm it. He dialed the number of the examination board, but heard only the staccato bleeps of a line engaged. Staccato bleeps kya hoti hai? Sound, When the phone is engaged, do you listen to the bleeps? Do you listen to the sound?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? तो वो
Yes, ma'am.
sound, that the line was engaged, the phone was engaged, he could listen to it. But then the line was engaged, wasn't it? Yes, not very intelligent. Okay. And he might have rang once or twice or more than that, but the line, it was engaged. 2 minutes later, he heard some whispered communications in the cell, and then McLary's broad Scots voice. Scots means he was from Scotland, okay? So he had a Scottish accent. So 2 minutes later, governor, he listens to some conversation that had taken place in the cell, and he could listen to the McLary's broad and a Scots voice or accent. Will you please stop writing for a while, Mr. Evans, and listen carefully. Now, what is he doing? The correction slip has reached to the cell, and he's asking Evans to stop writing and do the correction. Similar things happen so many times with you when you are there in the examination hall. Right, beta? ऐसे ही होता है ना?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
invigilators, we ask you to stop writing and do the corrections. And we say just that on this page and line this or question number this, that. Okay? So similar corrections, they were similar correction was made. So McLary is instructing Evans to stop writing, and he's saying, will you please stop writing for a while, Mr. Evans, and listen carefully. Now underline it. Candidates offering German 0 to 1-1 should note the following corrections. Okay, all the candidates who are appearing in the German examination whose code is 0 to 1-1. क्या है उसका correction? Underline. On page 3, line 15. The fourth word should read golden, underline, not golden. And the whole phrase will therefore read zum goldenen Leuen. Now this is what? This is German language, okay? Not zum golden Leuen. Got it? I will repeat that.
Yes, ma'am.
Who says McLary? McLary कहता है कि पेज नंबर 3 लाइन 15 पे जो वर्ड है वो गोल्डन होना चाहिए, नॉट गोल्डन, और जो पूरा फ्रेज है वो होना चाहिए जम गोल्डन लॉयन, नॉट जम गोल्डन लायन. एंड ही सेज आई एम गोइंग टू रिपीट, एंड ही रिपीट. Now the governor listened and smiled. He had taken German in the sixth form himself when he remembered all about the agreements of adjectives. Now even the governor, beta, he was listening to all the conversations, okay? So even he remembers that when he was in the sixth, he had already taken German, and still he remembers some of the German words and about the agreements of adjectives. And so did McLary by the sound of things, for the minister's pronunciation was most impressive. Okay. And McLary also, he could listen by the sound of the things, and he thinks that minister's pronunciation, it was very impressive. But what about Evans? Okay, even McLary, he understood all the adjectives and all of the German language. But what about Evans? He probably did not know what an adjective was. लेकिन मन ही मन सोचता है मैकलैरी भी समझता होगा ये एडजेक्टिव्स वगैरह, लेकिन इवेंट्स का क्या है, शायद उसको नहीं मालूम व्हाट एन एडजेक्टिव वाज. Okay, now the phone rang again. The exam is going on. Okay, now the phone rings again. Magistrate's court. It was the call from the magistrate's court. Got it? See what I am saying? Every incident that is taking place, every action that is happening, every action is going to have some reaction afterwards. Clear? कोई ना कोई reaction जरूर होगा इन सब. Got it? All
Yes,
the
ma'am.
हाँ कहीं ना कहीं है, कुछ ना कुछ उनका connection होगा with the plan. So the magistrates court, they needed a prison van and a couple of prison officers remanded. Now, it was the call from magistrate. Why? Because they needed a police van and some of the police officers because they had to deal with a remand case. And within 2 minutes, the governor was wondering whether that could be a hoax. Again, he was wondering whether it could be a hoax, whether it could be a fake call, whether it could be a confusion. Okay. Then he told himself not to be so silly. फिर वो वापस अपने आप को समझाता है कि डोंट बी सो सिली, इतनी ओवरडू मत करो, है ना, डोंट ट्राई टू ओवरडू, ओवर रिएक्ट. ओके, ज्यादा थिएट्रिकल नहीं करना कुछ भी. His imagination was beginning to run right, it was spoiling, he thinks all the rubbish things he was thinking, though those things will not take place, हालांकि ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, पर ऐसा लग रहा था उसकी imagination ही right होती जा रही है, violent type होती जा रही है, बकवास होती जा रही है, spoiling events. Okay. Now, for the first quarter of an hour, Stephens had dutifully peered through the peephole at intervals of 1 minute or so. First quarter of an hour, continuously, with a gap of only single minute, Stephens was continuously peeping inside, है ना, through the peephole. Peephole था ना, उसमें से हर एक मिनट में Stephens peep कर रहा था. After that, every 2 minutes or quarter of an hour के बाद वो 2 मिनट में peep करने लगा. At 10:45 a.m., everything was still all right. As he looked through the peephole once more, 10:45 pe everything was fine. It took 4 or 5 minutes, no more. What was the point? It was always more or less the same, है ना, हालांकि 4 या 5 minutes उसको इधर उधर हो जाते होंगे, but it was the same. Evans, his pen between his lips, sat staring straight in front of him towards the door, seeking, it seems, some sorely needed inspiration from somewhere. Now, when he peeps inside, okay, what did he see? Evans with the pen in his mouth, okay, between his lips, like many of you sit in the examination, okay, as if you're chewing or sucking the pen. है ना, pen मुंह में डाल के he was sitting and continuously he was looking towards the door as if कोई inspiration उसको आएगी, कोई inspiration मिलेगी, is going to get from somewhere. And opposite him, McLary, he was sitting, okay, seated slightly askew from the table now, okay, a little bit tilted slant he was sitting. His face in semi-profile. Now, semi-profile face, okay, the looks were half outline of the face. The whole face couldn't be seen. His hair, as Stephens had noticed earlier, amateurishly, matlab dramatically, clipped pretty closely to the scalp. और जो hair थे, है ना, they were sticking to the scalp, His eyes behind the pebble lenses, pebble are the round lenses of the spectacles, peering short-sightedly at the church times. Now he was sitting like this, a bit slant he was sitting. So half of the face, it could be seen by Stephens, and he was just reading the newspaper. His index finger hooked beneath the narrow clerical collar. Okay, clerical collar, mein the finger was there. And the fingers of the left hand, the nails meticulously manicured. Okay, very well cut off the nails, left hand ke. Slowly stroking the short black beard. He was striking the black beard. Okay, like this he was striking. Right? and he was reading the church times. At 10:50, is this clear, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
At 10:50
Yes,
a.m., the receiver crackled to life. Again, the receiver, it came to life, means it rang. And the governor realized he had almost forgotten events for a few minutes. So governor, he might have been busy in his work, तो उसको लगता है ओहो एकदम जब वापस से आवाज आती है तो लगता है events को तो भूल ही गया था. Events, please sir, a whisper then louder. Would you mind if I put a blanket round me shoulders, sir? It's a bit parky. Parky means cold in here, isn't it? And he just requests McLary if he can cover himself with a blanket. Why? Because he thinks it was quite cold here and he was feeling sorry, beta, and he was feeling parky, he was feeling cold. Okay. Then silence, there's one on me bunk, sir. Okay. And then he says, there's one blanket, it's lying on my bunk. Can I take it? Be quick about it. और McLary instruct करता है उसको to be very quick. Okay. कहता है चलो फटाफट लो. Okay. And cover yourself with a blanket as he was feeling cold. Clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Everyone,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
you better revise it, beta. Every day I'll not ask you to revise. Okay? This responsibility you must have.
Okay, ma'am.
You must feel. Chaliye, thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Nice
ma'am.